And it was taking them further and further away from God. The word lust in the Greek is ephrothomi. It means desire, craving, longing, a desire for what is forbidden. Lust, usually intense or unbridled sexual drive. And if you ever wondered what the word lasciviousness means when you look it up in the Bible, it means unbridled desire. And what I want to tell you today is that lust is unbridled desire and it's sexual. But sex is good. You don't have, I get it. See, the funny part is, if I said sex is good on a Sunday morning, everyone's like, ooh, oh. If I said this Saturday night, I'm going to, yeah. But it's Sunday morning, so you want to act holy. Oh, he said that in church. No. Sex is good because God created it. God created sex. You look back in the book of Genesis, he created sex. Why? He created it for reproduction, and he created it for pleasure. So in this, God created sex. And then God, since he created sex, he gets to define the context where sex has the greatest blessing. And he says that sex is between a man and a woman in the context of marriage. And here's the thing. Lust has perverted what God has created as good. And this is what I hear, because I get to hear some stuff as a pastor. But Pastor Tony, I love her. She loves me. When I wake up in the morning, I think about her. I see her in my Cheerios in the morning. I see her. I see him in my pizza at lunchtime. It has to be love because I'm so passionate about being with him. After I want to just say shut up, but that's another. I have to remind people, your passions don't change God's principles. Your feelings don't change God's framework. Your desires don't change the dynamics that God set up to say this is the context where sex belongs. So it's good within the context that God set it. And God created the principles, the framework, and the dynamics to not only protect your purpose, but to protect you from pain. Because when you step out of this, you are setting yourself up for pain. And pain may not come today, but to consistently live out of the principles and framework of God, pain is coming. And he wants to protect you from that. You know, in Solomon 8:4, it says, don't awaken love before it's time. And Solomon is warning, don't open this can of worms. Don't do this before it's time, because it's only going to lead to disaster. You know, when I think about the power of lust, I begin to do some research on the science of lust, because there is a science behind lust. And in this science of lust, it talks about like these stages of lust. So lust has stages. So let me help you put on your school hat for just a moment. You know, when you like somebody, because it's okay to like somebody. It's great to like somebody. I liked Angie before I loved Angie. So liking somebody isn't the issue. It's lusting that's an issue. And lust has to do with sex. And so lust is this place where your desires are just wild. They're just everywhere. And you just see you're at the mall and you see the person, or you're in the lunchroom, or you're in the office and you see the person and you're like, ooh, wow, I really like their personality. I just love the way they do. You haven't even talked to them yet. You've just seen them. That's code for, ooh, I like the way she shakes it. I like the way he carries it. Because you don't know. I told you I'm coming to the kitchen, the bedroom, the living room today. We got to be real in this. And you've now developed this mindset around this person. And when it goes from just liking a person to sex, it's lust. It's lust. And you move from this, and this is where your testosterone as a man is engaged, and your estrogen as a woman is engaged. And do you know that God set this up so that we would be attracted to one another to make children, to reproduce? So it's God's framework of our being attracted to one another, but we've allowed lust to turn it into something else. And then there is a second stage, and this is called the attraction stage. This is the funny stage. This is the stage where it's like, oh, I just love them so much. When I go to bed, I think about them. When in class, I can't focus. At work, I can't focus. It's at night when you get off the phone and you're like, okay, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, I don't want to hang up. And then both y'all end up asleep and nobody hung up. And you're like, that's love. We love each other, and the affections are so strong. And what happens in this state a lot of times is you isolate yourself from the rest of the world because all you want to do is be with this person. And what happens is scientifically there are these chemicals in your brain called dopamine. Dopamine is engaged in your brain. And it creates a place of obsession. It creates a place where you're like, all you can think about is that. All you can think about is being with that person. And when you're in lust and attraction, what ends up happening is dopamine it's like the reward side of your brain. You're high on love. And it impacts your decision-making ability. So here's another chemical, the chemical of serotonin. And serotonin is your reasoning ability. It is the thing that allows you to capture your moods and not act on everything. So here's the challenge when you're consumed by lust, is that lust makes you feel high with dopamine. Serotonin is low, and that means your judgment is compromised. You wonder when you marry this person after knowing them a short period of time that they were awesome and they couldn't do anything wrong and they were perfect, and your mama and them was saying, he crazy, and your uncles were saying, she's crazy, and you couldn't see anything that they were saying. Why? Because you were so doped up on dopamine that you couldn't see anything. Then you marry them, and a little while into it, you're like, I didn't see this. I didn't know this was there. Oh, it was there the whole time. You were too high to see it. And here's the thing. Dopamine in the brain is the same chemical that's activated when someone takes a hit of cocaine. And what they end up doing is they end up going, hey, she didn't want to rob a liquor store to get high. She didn't want to hurt anybody to get high. The feeling is I'm chasing the high. And as I chase the high, I'm willing to do things that compromise. Oh, I'm talking to somebody. I'm willing to do things to compromise my values, who I am, just to get another hit. And lust works like that. See, remember, clouds your judgment. Judgment is clouded. Discernment is crippled. You can't even pick right. You can't choose right. You can't make the right choices. That's why Solomon says, hey, don't open this up before it's time. Because if you do, it's going to lead you down a path that you don't even want to go, that's going to take you away from your purpose, and open you up to pain. I was thinking about this, and it's funny. In Christian circles, this is called the stages of lust. In secular circles, it's called the stages of love. So the world sees this totally different than Christ followers see it. You know, years ago, I was talking to a young man, and he was away at college, and he called me. And he said, my girlfriend is pregnant. And he's a Christian, loves God with all his heart. But he was calling me, and he was devastated. He was devastated. He said, how could this happen to me? I said, well, did you have sex with her? He said, yeah. I'm like, well, physiology says, and we don't need to go into all of that. No, he says, no. How could this happen to me? He's like, I've received prophetic words about what God wants to do in my life. I've received words from God on my purpose. How could I end up having a girl get pregnant when God has all this purpose for me? And I told them, young man, if you believed in the purpose as much as you did, you were protected with your purity, because your choices open the door for the enemy to come in. And you can have all the purpose in the world. Your parents could be rich and they can be poor. You could be well educated and no education. Lust knows no socioeconomic standpoint, knows no race, no ethnicity, no country. Lust is a spirit that will dominate and destroy the lives of everybody it gives interest into.